What is going on, XRP Army? Welcome back to the channel. If you have been watching the charts, you know exactly what is happening. XRP has been fighting tooth and nail to hold the critical 2.00 level, and the bears are exhausted. But while the retail market is panicking over a few cents, the institutional data is telling a completely different story. We are witnessing a skyrocket setup that is mathematically identical to the pre-2017 explosion, but this time it is fueled by Wall Street, not retail hype. The title of this video is, What's Next for Ripple? And the answer is going to shock you. We are not just talking about a pump, we are talking about a structural repricing of the asset based on the $1.3 billion ETF inflows and the massive success of the RLUSD stablecoin. In this deep dive, we are going to expose the golden ticket utility that experts are just now discovering, why Standard Chartered is predicting 8.0 by the end of this year, and why selling now might be the biggest financial mistake of your life. Let's start with the ETF reality check. We are now a few months into the launch of the spot XRP ETFs from Bitwise, Canary, and others. The media told you it would be a sell the news event. They were wrong. The data shows that these ETFs have accumulated over 1.3 billion in assets under management, AUM, in record time. This is sticky capital. When a pension fund buys an XRP ETF, they don't day trade it. They hold it for 5 to 10 years. This effectively removes millions of XRP from the circulating supply every single day. We are seeing exchange reserves hit 7-year lows because the custodians are locking everything up. The Skyrocket hasn't fully started yet because the supply shock is just now hitting the order books. When the OTC desks run out of XRP, and reports suggest they are close, the price has no choice but to go vertical to find liquidity. We need to talk about the RLUSD stablecoin impact. This was the sleeper hit of 2025, and now in 2026, it is the engine of the XRPL. RLUSD has grown from a $72 million market cap to over $138 billion in under a year. Why does this matter for XRP price? Because RLUSD brings deep liquidity to the XRP Ledger's decentralized exchange, DEX. It allows institutions to trade 24/7 without relying on volatile fiat rails. But here's the kicker. To move that RLUSD, you need XRP. To swap it, you need XRP. The velocity of money on the ledger is exploding, and XRP is the gas that powers every single movement. This is what we call utility-driven demand, and it is far more powerful than speculative demand. Furthermore, let's look at the technical floor. XRP has established a massive support zone around 190 2.0. Every time we dip into this zone, buyers step in aggressively. This is what we call accumulation. The whales are defending this level because they know what is coming next. We are seeing a golden cross on the weekly time frame where the 50-week moving average crosses above the 200-week moving average. Historically, this signal precedes a multi-year bull run. The last time this happened, XRP did a 60,000% move. I am not saying we will do 60,000% again, but even a fraction of that move would put us well into the double digits. We also have to address the Standard Chartered prediction. One of the world's biggest banks has officially put a price target of 8.00 on XRP by the end of 2026. This isn't a random YouTuber prediction. This is an institutional research note. They cite the combination of ETF inflows and the Clarity Act potentially passing in the US Senate as the main drivers. When major banks start giving price targets like this, it gives permission to other institutional investors to enter the market. It de-risks the trade. We are moving from crypto casino to institutional asset class, and the price is about to reflect that premium. Finally, look at the sentiment divergence. Social media sentiment is mixed. People are bored. They are angry that we aren't at $10 yet, but on-chain data shows wallets holding 1M plus XRP are at all-time highs. This divergence is the strongest buy signal you can get. The crowd is bored, but the smart money is buying. You want to be on the side of the smart money. The skyrocket phase typically begins exactly when the last impatient retail investor sells. Do not be that person. Now, let's pivot to the golden ticket theory that is buzzing in the expert circles. For years, we thought the golden ticket was just banks using XRP for cross-border payments, but a new thesis has emerged in 2026. Post-trade settlement. This is the idea that Ripple Prime, Ripple's institutional brokerage, will use the XRPL to settle trades after they happen. Imagine a hedge fund buying Tesla stock or tokenized gold. The trade happens instantly, but the money usually takes T+2 days to move. With the XRP ledger, that settlement happens in 3 seconds. This unlocks trillions of dollars in capital efficiency. This is the golden ticket. It's not just about remittances anymore. It's about settling the entire world's financial markets. If this narrative takes hold, the 8.00 target will look conservative. Let's address the Ripple IPO rumors. There has been a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt recently because Ripple executives said they have no timeline for an IPO in 2026. Some people took this as bad news. It is actually good news. Here is why. Ripple is currently sitting on a massive war chest of cash. They don't need to go public to raise money. By staying private, they can focus on building long-term infrastructure like RLUSD and the EVM sidechain without worrying about quarterly earnings calls or stock price fluctuations. An IPO will happen eventually, likely when the market is at peak euphoria, but the fact that they are delaying it means they are betting on the value of their holdings, XRP, to drive their growth. They are doubling down on the token, not the stock. We also need to talk about the Clarity Act. This legislation is currently hanging in the balance in the US Senate. If passed, it would explicitly allow US banks to hold digital assets on their balance sheets. This is the final barrier. Right now, banks use XRP indirectly through partners. If the Clarity Act passes, they can hold it directly. The market is currently pricing in a 50-50 chance of this passing. If it passes, we get an instant repricing event, likely a 50% to 100% candle in a single day. The Skyrocket scenario relies heavily on this regulatory tailwind, and the political winds in Washington are shifting in our favor. Furthermore, let's look at the DeFi explosion on XRPL. With the new EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine sidechain fully operational, we are seeing developers migrate from Ethereum to XRP to save on gas fees. We have lending protocols, decentralized exchanges, and NFT marketplaces launching every week. This creates total value locked. TVL. TVL is a key metric for valuing a blockchain. For years, XRPL had 0 TVL. Now it is growing exponentially. This locks up XRP in smart contracts, further reducing the supply. It is a supply squeeze from two sides. ETFs locking up coins in vaults, and DeFi locking up coins in smart contracts. Let's discuss the competition. People ask about Solana or Sui. Yes, they are fast, but they lack the one thing XRP has: the trust of the banking sector. Ripple has spent 10 years building relationships with regulators and central banks. You cannot fork trust. You cannot code relationships. This moat is why, despite the hype of newer chains, the institutions keep coming back to Ripple. They want a partner that understands compliance, not a chain that shuts down every few months. In the high-stakes world of finance, reliability is the only metric that matters. Finally, we have to touch on the global macro shift. We are seeing the BRICS nations and Japan aggressively testing stablecoin payments. Japan's SBI Holdings is a major Ripple partner and is integrating RLUSD into their banking app. This opens up the Japanese retail market, millions of users, to the XRP ecosystem. The East has always been bullish on XRP, and they are leading the charge while the US plays catch up. The Skyrocket might start in Tokyo before it hits New York.